is threatened by the consequences of climate change. Millions of people in the world lack access to financial protection, leaving them at risk of any disaster. Protect the future means ensuring that everyone has access to inclusive insurance for whatever hazards they face. Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility (IRFF) initiative, led by UNDP, are aligned with the Insure Resilience Vision 2025, which aims to protect 500 million people against the impact of climate change and disasters. Together, we will support vulnerable communities with accessible and affordable insurance and promote financial resilience for all. Protect the future is our way of making a difference. Now it is time to protect the future.
For us, at Generali, being a lifetime partner means enabling people to shape a safer and more sustainable future by caring for their lives and dreams. Today, we champion sustainability as the originator of our strategy, acting as a responsible insurer, investor, employer, and corporate citizen. Thanks to insurance solutions with ESG components and green and sustainable investments, committing to the environment and climate protection, supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, promoting a diverse, equitable and inclusive workplace for our people, supporting vulnerable people in our communities and preserving heritage for future generations. Together, both as Generali and individuals, we can make this happen. Be a game changer. Bring sustainability to life in every decision and action you take. At any level. For a better future. For everyone.
A lot of prices are going up with the recent wars between Russia and Ukraine.
The inflation is getting of much concern.
The global economic turmoil.
The income,
climate change,
gender equality.
Uncertainty is a fact of life, but the world and Malaysians face it more than ever today. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to develop new variants. The shots fired amidst the war in Ukraine can be heard around the world, causing immense suffering. There's a global cost of living crisis. Meanwhile, the threat of climate change continues to increase exponentially. We are in uncharted waters, and our sense of control is undermined by a perfect storm of deepening geopolitical strife, constant crisis, and attendant social tensions. UNDP measures human development on what is called a Human Development Index, which measures a nation's health, education, and standard of living. For the first time in 3 decades since these measurements started, there has been a global decline. Latest report calculates Malaysia's Human Development Index value at 0.803, thus ranking it at 62nd among the 191 countries and territories measured around the world. While this puts Malaysia in the very high human development category, the actual score represents a fallback to 2016 levels of human development. And this is true for the whole world. Reversing this trend and maintaining a high standard of human development going forward will require us to adopt a radically different mindset. We must learn to accept that our world is fundamentally changing and that there is no going back and there may never be a new normal. Responding to this challenge and meeting these uncertainties head-on are the topics of the 2021-2022 Human Development Report entitled Uncertain Times, Unsettled Lives, Shaping Our Future in a Transforming World. The report argues that it will not be enough to build forward better. We must start a dialogue with the people that embraces uncertainty and focuses on new and innovative solutions.
We should have more parks in Malaysia. We should have more forest retreats that public can enjoy.
The government must work with the people and come up with proper strategies to overcome these major problems. And we need to maintain this, and we hope for a bright future.
I would think that probably we can improve on our education systems.
Create more awareness, especially from the young adults. Not only the government has to play a role, parents have to play a role, the society basically has to play a role.
Together with the government, private sector and civil societies, UNDP is supporting investments that promote economic and environmental resilience, help revitalize and modernize social insurance and assistance, as well as support a culture of technological and social innovation. These three I's, investment, insurance and innovation, are ultimately driven by the people, who will always be the real wealth of nations. Where we go from here is up to us. We can accomplish a lot with very little if we work together towards the shared goals of Keluarga Malaysia and the UN Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development.
In line with its 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, UNDP reaches out to the most vulnerable groups in our society by raising awareness about their plight and supporting the government of Malaysia in bringing about inclusive solutions.
Tahun demi tahun, bermula daripada tahun 2015, pihak JAC, NGO selaku NGO memang bertanggungjawab memimpin kami dengan sepenuh hati.
Kami golongan B40 sangat bersyukurlah projek ni dapat menjana income kepada komuniti.
We use the OAMGF grant to support 3 different Orang Asli communities in Selangor, Perak and Pahang states. So the grants were to build the capacity of the communities in safeguarding and rehabilitating the natural resources and in developing livelihoods linked to the natural resources.
Di bawah projek ni kami ada 4 buah projek. Pertama sekali Semayan Buloh, yang kedua pusat IT, yang ketiga ekotrail berbasikal dan juga pemantauan sungai. Yang mana 4 projek ni buloh yang kami semai kami akan tanam di cerun-cerun yang terkakis dan juga dapat memberi pendapatan kepada penduduk kampung untuk dijual semula dan ditanam semula di tempat yang terkakis.
We developed a handicraft center and the handicraft until today, 1 year after the project, is still being produced and being sold. We also supported the engagement of the community in policy making. The community representatives from the different communities participated in many of the stakeholder discussion and have been recognized by the different government agencies.
Kalau seboleh-bolehnya lah, saya memang mengharap projek-projek yang boleh membawa keuntungan kepada 2 kampung berkenaan iaitu Pulau Kempas dan Bukit Jeding.
The UNDP EQ B40 consultations found low level of awareness among B40 communities on how to access government services. This underscores the existence of a gap between service providers and beneficiaries. Due to our social-cultural norms, poverty can affect women and men differently when trying to access aid, and given that women in poor households tend to be less educated, they are not aware of the various programs available.
poverty is multidimensional, with ever-changing economic condition, crisis, rise of cost of living, among others. It is highly important to revise the multidimensional poverty index to reflect the country's context in measuring poverty. This project aims to assist Malaysians, particularly those who face multifaceted poverty and vulnerables, to have better access to social protection program so that they receive adequate assistance in a timely manner.
We did a survey on the perceptions and of age friendliness of Taipei. They really like Taipei because of it's a slow pace and the ecology. They love the lake gardens and they want improvement in the lake garden in the sense of more lighting, and they want benches so that when people come and when they do their walking, they can rest. They also say that we need to do something about the youth because a lot of youth are migrating out of Taipei. So we need to look at creating job opportunities for the youth of Taipei so that they stay in Taipei as long as possible.
By 2030, Malaysia is going to be an aged society. In order to address the aging society, Government of Malaysia came up with the policy and its action plan. Through this project itself, we would gather all those information where people are engaged again and they participate in the whole planning itself.
When you talk about men and women in terms of we want to do for planning, we should also involve them in the planning process because perception of women and men in other aspects might be different.
This project definitely is the way how we manage to bring all these different government agencies together, including the people.
You need to understand the situation of the local people and translate the situation into planning. This is what is aligned with the SDG 17 in terms of integration and cooperation from the different sectors of society.
UNDP's journey in Malaysia continues apace, as it has since Malaysia's independence. It has been a relationship characterized by relentless focus on improving the lives of people. So no person, no family, no child, no elderly or differently abled person falls to the proverbial social or economic cracks. UNDP's shared journey with Malaysia takes on ever new hues and meaning. We must double down and find new solutions for new challenges. That is why this is the story of our shared journey. That is why Cerita Kita is our story.
The moment before you take the first step, before you find your courage, before you know what happens next, there's one moment that lets us know the time is now. And now it is time to think of tomorrow, to protect what we love. Now it is time to protect the future. Generali, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, is working to protect vulnerable communities around the world. The partnership will blend Generali's insurance expertise with UNDP's long-term focus on financing and development. Half of humanity is threatened by the consequences of climate change. Millions of people in the world lack access to financial protection, leaving them at risk of any disaster. Protect the future means ensuring that everyone has access to inclusive insurance for whatever hazards they face. Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility (IRFF) initiative, led by UNDP, are aligned with the Insure Resilience Vision 2025, which aims to protect 500 million people against the impact of climate change and disasters. Together, we will support vulnerable communities with accessible and affordable insurance and promote financial resilience for all. Protect the future is our way of making a difference. Now it is time to protect the future.
For us, at Generali, being a lifetime partner means enabling people to shape a safer and more sustainable future by caring for their lives and dreams. Today, we champion sustainability as the originator of our strategy, acting as a responsible insurer, investor, employer, and corporate citizen. Thanks to insurance solutions with ESG components and green and sustainable investments, committing to the environment and climate protection, supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, promoting a diverse, equitable and inclusive workplace for our people, supporting vulnerable people in our communities and preserving heritage for future generations. Together, both as Generali and individuals, we can make this happen. Be a game changer. Bring sustainability to life in every decision and action you take. At any level. For a better future. For everyone.
A lot of prices are going up with the recent wars between Russia and Ukraine.
The inflation is getting of much concern.
The global economic turmoil.
The income, climate change,
gender equality.
Uncertainty is a fact of life, but the world and Malaysians face it more than ever today. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to develop new variants. The shots fired amidst the war in Ukraine can be heard around the world, causing immense suffering. There's a global cost of living crisis. Meanwhile, the threat of climate change continues to increase exponentially. We are in uncharted waters, and our sense of control is undermined by a perfect storm of deepening geopolitical strife, constant crisis, and attendant social tensions. UNDP measures human development on what is called a Human Development Index, which measures a nation's health, education, and standard of living. For the first time in 3 decades since these measurements started, there has been a global decline. Latest report calculates Malaysia's Human Development Index value at 0.803, thus ranking it at 62nd among the 191 countries and territories measured around the world. While this puts Malaysia in the very high human development category, the actual score represents a fallback to 2016 levels of human development. And this is true for the whole world. Reversing this trend and maintaining a high standard of human development going forward will require us to adopt a radically different mindset. We must learn to accept that our world is fundamentally changing and that there is no going back, and there may never be a new normal. Responding to this challenge and meeting these uncertainties head-on are the topics of the 2021-2022 Human Development Report, entitled Uncertain Times, Unsettled Lives, Shaping Our Future in a Transforming World. The report argues that it will not be enough to build forward better. We must start a dialogue with the people
Yes, a round of applause to that. Selamat pagi, buongiorno, good morning, selamat pagi. Dr. Nirwan Noor, Cik Nurul Izzah Idris, His Excellency Massimo Rustico, Dr. Grace Chia, Jaime Anchustegi, Niloy Banerjee, and all the distinguished guests, and we also have members of the media here. On behalf of Generali and United Nations Development Program, welcome to the Building SME Resilience in Asia event. My name is Frida Liu, and it's an honor for me to be here today in Kuala Lumpur. I also welcome all those who are following us remotely from around the world. The event is part of the partnership between Generali and UNDP, whose key objective is to boost access to insurance and risk finance solutions, reduce the protection gap, and support the development of vulnerable communities. The event also stands as the first Asian edition of the SME Enterprise, Generali's flagship project to promote a culture of sustainability among small and medium enterprises, supporting them in their transition to sustainable business models. Let me very quickly go through today's agenda. In just a moment, we'll have Jaime, the CEO of Generali International, and Niloy Banerjee of UNDP, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei Darussalam, who will tell us more about this partnership. After that, we are honored to have with us two notable institutional representatives to share their remarks. Yang Berusaha, Dr. Nirwan Noor, Ministry of Finance, Malaysia, and His Excellency Massimo Rustico, Ambassador of Italy to Malaysia. We'll then listen to a video message by Lucia Silva from Generali Group. What is the state of things on the resilience of SMEs in Asia? We'll be hearing firsthand the key outcomes of the research Building MSME Resilience in Southeast Asia with Lauren Carter from UNDP. We'll be taking a short break and returning with the launch of the SME Loss Prevention Framework with Mirko Satori, Generali International, and this will be followed by a conversation on the pathways to building SME resilience in Asia with Dr. Grace Chia from the SME Association Malaysia and Cik Nurul Izzah Idris of Bank Negara Malaysia. The proof is in the pudding, they say, and we'll be hearing from some outstanding candidates to the Insurance Innovation Challenge Fund who will explain their innovative ideas to enhance the resilience of SMEs in Malaysia. We'll close the event with remarks from Fabrice Bernard, Generali Malaysia, and Jan Kellett from the UNDP's Insurance and Risk Finance Facility. I'd like to kindly remind you to post the event on your social media channels by using the hashtags. We all love our hashtags. Protect the Future, SME Enterprise, Insurance for SDGs, Financial Resilience, My UNDP, Generali for Sustainability. To kickstart this morning, let me first invite up on stage Jaime Anchustegi, CEO of Generali International, and Niloy Banerjee, resident representative of UNDP, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei Darussalam, to hear their thoughts. Please help me welcome Jaime and Niloy. Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
All right, we'll put the pressure on Niloy first, who is celebrating his birthday tomorrow, by the way. Niloy, can you perhaps describe the importance of SMEs in the economy and the challenges they're facing in Asia, with a focus on Malaysia?
Good morning. Thank you, Freda. Good to see you again. And Jaime, welcome to Malaysia. Very good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Colleagues, the headlines are very simple. As all over ASEAN, so in Malaysia, SMEs account for 97% of all business establishment. Second, they employ about half the workforce, and they account for 38% of the GDP. These are the headlines that everybody knows. They are highly employment elastic. But more importantly, they also remain extremely vulnerable. As I was preparing for this panel, I was thinking of what is one number that could serve as an index for SME vulnerability. And I found, this is an OECD publication from 2022, that of all the outstanding business loans in Malaysia, SMEs owe about 44% of all outstanding business loans in Malaysia. That's a very high percentage. It also shows they're extremely vulnerable and they're massively indebted, which means there's almost zero buffer against risk of any kind. So all told, here is a sector that contributes massively to the economy. Here is a sector that contributes much more to employment than the formal corporate sector. And here is a sector that contributes significantly to GDP and employment. So, yet remains dangerously vulnerable. So this is where we are. We are in a place where we need to effect a step change for our micro, small, and medium enterprises.
Thank you, Niloy. Jaime, listening to what Niloy has to say, right, could you explain how insurance can help to overcome these challenges?
Thank you, Fredo. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us in this starting point of this adventure, this journey. Let me start defining how we see and how we observe the SMEs. Normally, the SMEs are starting with an entrepreneur. And what is an entrepreneur? The entrepreneur is a young man, woman, with few money, some ideas, and a lot of hope, a lot of dreams. What happened with these people when they're entrepreneur and they start this business with the dream to generate some value, to improve the life of their families, and to create employees and to develop the business? That they are subject to a lot of events that can happen. Credit, pandemic, fires, floods, whatever can happen. So it is absolutely important the presence of the insurance around these heroes in the journey of this process. It is very important because the insurance can smooth the impact of all these events along the process of the value creation. However, the problem in this case, which is our observation under the insurance point of view, is that sometimes it's very difficult to realize what can happen to my business. Talking under the point of view of the entrepreneur, what can happen to my business and how others can help us. So insurance is an extraordinarily important part of this value chain creation. We want to protect the people. We want to protect the entrepreneurs. We want to protect this value chain creation. And why insurance is focused to this? Because we want to protect the value chain. We want to protect the people. For us, it's absolutely important to start our commitment with the society from the very, very first point, helping the starting point of the value creation.
And listening to what you just said as well, can you share with us some progress in this area where insurance makes a material impact on the resilience of SMEs? Yes, for Jaime, yes.
Sorry. Well, the first point for me is the awareness. How can we make aware the society about what can happen? And here I want to make a reference about the insurance industry that perhaps for the people that is not working directly with the insurance industry, perhaps is not so clear. The insurance industry is a very, very, very well-organized industry. We have the regulation. That is absolutely key. We are a very regulated industry. We have the insurance company with the capital and with all the governance of the companies. And then we have agents, brokers, intermediaries, traditional channels, not so traditional channels. So we are a very well-structured industry. So the first point is to make aware everybody around these stakeholders about what are we doing, what we all can help to these SMEs to be sustainable for the future. This is the main point. This is our main target for the future in this journey.
Niloy, despite these challenges and risk finance instruments available, SMEs still remain vulnerable to various risks. Why do you think that is, and how can we change that to protect the SMEs better?
Okay, look, I think there are demand-side factors and supply-side factors. On the supply side, SMEs are numerous and they're very granular. It is difficult for the insurance sector to segment SMEs, reach them with boots on the ground, and align with them enough to be able to create bespoke packages for them, bundles as it's called, I think, in the insurance industry. On the demand side, we have a challenge. Let me illustrate with the numbers. In Malaysia, there are 151,000 registered MSMEs, of which, hold your breath, 78% are micro, meaning they employ less than 5 people. Here it's somewhat by turnover, but mostly by numbers employed. So it's like my household. I'm the housekeeper, I'm the receptionist, I'm the cook, I'm the house manager, I'm the person who takes care of the broken plumbing. So it's just 5 people. So they are not strategists, they're not planners. They're literally living on a daily cash flow. So that indeed is a problem. Now that said, I think if any country in this region can be a shining city on the hill, it can be Malaysia, because there's tremendous ecosystem. The number of agencies that are dedicated to SMEs, SME Core, SME Bank, MIDAC, the Ministry of Cooperatives, MITI has Martrade, which deals largely with SME, with the supply chain, of course. But so if there's any country where there's an ecosystem, and then Bank Negara and others extremely supportive. During COVID, we saw that. Bank Negara reduced the overnight policy rate. SMEs could borrow much cheaper. Setting up the Credit Guarantee Corporation. So there's an incredible ecosystem, under-leveraged, as I was saying to Nurul before, very under-leveraged. So look, something needs to happen. SMEs are receiving almost zero crowdfunding, venture cap, private equity, almost zero. Something needs to happen, and here's where a Generali stepping in sends a very powerful UNDP Generali partnership, sends a very powerful message, which I'm extremely proud of.
Something pertinent you said about planning, right? And it's not something that they're busy running the business to even plan about the risk, right? Jaime, what practical steps on the ground are you taking to increase the resources available for SMEs to build resilience?
Let me start with one sentence that is a very insurance-oriented. In the insurance industry, we always say that it's much better to have an insurance and not to need it than need the insurance and not to have it. This is a mantra in the insurance industry. Now, how are we going to apply this sentence and this idea to the future steps in this process? So here the key element is the awareness and the prevention. So our plan is first to spread the analysis that we have done and that my colleagues are going to present in the coming hours to the Malaysia society and with the Malaysian stakeholders. I think that this is the key element. This is the situation, this is the importance of this sector, SMEs, MSMEs, to the Malaysian society, and those are the risks that this sector can aim or can face in the future. This is the key element. Frankly speaking, our target is not to sell insurance. Our target is to help the entrepreneurs and the SMEs to be aware about the risk and to proceed with the prevention. This is the real aim. Second, we want to extend this experience to some other countries. I think that it is important. Generali is present in some other Asian countries. UNDP is present worldwide. So this joint venture can help a lot, not only Malaysia and Thailand, that is a starting point, also to some other countries. We are ready. We want to do. This is our commitment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaime. You know, and one of the things is partnerships and collaborations, right? What is it important to have collaboration, you know, to tackle this issue, especially we're looking at this public-private partnerships between UNDP and Generali?
I'll illustrate first before I give the more sort of generic version of it. Because this is my favorite thing to say all the time. My staff are sick and tired of hearing me say this. Partnerships essentially have some partner assuming some risks and some other partner assuming some risks. I think, for example, blended financing is a very, very powerful example of how we can attract more and more funding for poor and vulnerable people, including SMEs. And for that to happen, government has to de-risk the first risk in any investment. If Generali wants to come in with a risk insurance plan, can government assume first loss so that then the private sector can pile on to it, if you like, and manage and mitigate their risks? This is the power of partnerships. If private sector is to invest in food and beverage or sustainable packaging, they need somebody to assume first risk. And the government has the best intentions. We don't have the instruments yet. We need to set up those funding facilities that can assume first risk in public-private partnerships. So blended finance is my shtick. I always talk about it. But you know, to go on to a more generic, what Jaime was saying, UNDP has boots on the ground, knowledge from 170 countries. This works here, this doesn't work here. This works in a highly populated country. This does not work in a sparsely populated country. That intelligence UNDP has. Generally has the insurance muscle. As Ambassador Massimo was saying yesterday, it's the superstar of European corporations and also global presence. And then the government here has a very mature ecosystem. So something, it's almost a low-hanging fruit. It can just snapshot like that. So that's the benefit of partnerships.
Right. Thank you, Niloy. Would you like anything to add finally, Jaime?
Not too many things. Just again, thank you very much for being present here. Thank you, Ambassador, to join us in this starting point of this fantastic journey. We are very proud to be able to participate. Thank you very much to the UNDP for sharing with us this adventure. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Niloy. Thank you, Jaime. I'd like to invite you back to your seats. I would now like to invite on the stage Yang Berusaha Dr. Nirwan Noor, the Deputy Undersecretary, Fiscal and Economics Division from the Ministry of Finance, Malaysia. Dr. Nirwan.
Thank you, Madam. First of all, I'd like to convey thank you message from the Secretary General of the Treasury, Datuk Joy American, who couldn't be here. So I'll be reading his speech actually this morning. His Excellency Massimo Rustico, the Ambassador of Italy to Malaysia, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Grace Chia Hui Yen, Ms. Nurul Izzah Idris, Mr. Jaime Architegi, Mr. Nilo Banerjee, distinguished speakers and delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning, everyone. And a very warm welcome to today's event, Building SME Resilience in Asia. Before I begin, allow me to extend my thanks to the United Nations Development Programme and Generali, who hosted this wonderful event, and especially to the team who have vigorously worked on this agenda. It is hoped that today's event will spark and deepen the discussion on how to build the resilience of SMEs against various risks. SMEs are critical to Malaysia's economy, representing more than 97% of businesses, taking up nearly half of the national employment, around 48%, and more than a third of the GDP. They are truly the backbone of the economy and directly impact the welfare of the people. However, SMEs are highly vulnerable to climate and other risks, and they have limited capacity and capabilities to manage these risks. As a result, these risks can negatively impact their productivity, longevity, and even survival. To name a few, first, there are physical risks related to climate change, such as flooding, which we have seen more frequently in Malaysia. Also, the issues of cash flow and liquidity pose risks to many SMEs. Their limited access to international markets also leaves them vulnerable to supply chain disruptions caused by external shocks. Furthermore, the health risk of key personnel is one of the biggest risks of MSMEs, as their business is highly dependent on a few individuals. Inventory damage, fire risk, so the list goes on endlessly. Given the importance of MSMEs in the economy, their vulnerability to risk can undermine their contribution to economic growth and employment. SMEs are financially more fragile than larger firms as they own limited assets and cash reserves, as well as dealing with the challenges on improving productivity levels and product or service innovations. Acknowledging their multifaceted challenges, MSMEs have been at the center of national policies, not only for the Ministry of Entrepreneur and Cooperative Development and MSME Corp, but across the whole government. The 12th Malaysia Plan aims to transform MSMEs and as a new driver of growth through technology adoption and increased access to the global market. The new Malaysia Madani framework also focuses strongly on improving the standard of living for the people and enhancing the business environment for MSMEs to lead Malaysia towards a prosperous, inclusive, and humane society. There have been various initiatives to provide affordable financing for SMEs. In fact, multiple funds of Bank Negara Malaysia are dedicated to SMEs to support their growth and recovery and facilitate the adoption of new technologies for digitalization, automation, and low-carbon transition. The Disaster Relief Facility especially looks explicitly into the risks incurred by natural disasters such as floods. It provides urgent financing for SMEs affected by disasters to resume their business operations. The ITECAD program, launched in 2020, is also a good example of social finance that supports SMEs' growth and resilience. It aims to complement public finance and commercially driven finance solutions by introducing a blended approach with various stakeholders, and it is expected to benefit 4,000 entrepreneurs. However, considering the gratitude of the rising risks MSMEs are facing, We need to see more support and solutions beyond loans. Most financial solutions for MSMEs to date have heavily focused on access to credit. We see the significant role that effective and well-designed insurance products and resilience-enhancing solutions can play in enabling MSMEs to fulfill their potential. According to an industry report, Malaysia's insurance industry has shown a growth rate of 3.2% from 2011 to 2021, and it is mainly attributed to the growth of life insurance and Takaful Life segment. The general non-life insurance sector has seen a very modest growth of 0.4% in the past decade and limited primarily to personal lines. Motor insurance takes up 46% of the general insurance market and nearly 2/3 of the general Takaful market. What we can clearly see from this data is that insurance is not widely adopted by businesses in Malaysia, despite the increasing need. It is estimated less than 5% of MSMEs have any form of insurance in the ASEAN region. In this regard, we welcome the partnership between the UNDP and Generali to build Malaysian SMEs' resilience through insurance and resilience-enhancing solutions. At today's event, we are to see the report Building SME Resilience in Southeast Asia, which focuses on a global, on a value chain-centered approach to develop insurance solutions for Malaysian SMEs, the SME Loss Prevention Framework, which is a which is a practical and accessible tool for SMEs to understand and mitigate the risk, and the development of innovative insurance solutions for small businesses through the Insurance Innovation Challenge Fund. The Ministry of Finance is happy to join this conversation and look forward to seeing how the work of UNDP and Generali, which will be presented today, will further strengthen the development of the industry to provide better protection for SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nirwan, and thank you for joining the conversation. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome on stage His Excellency Massimo Rustico, the Ambassador of Italy to Malaysia.
Gentlemen, good morning. First, it's a pleasure to be here as the Ambassador of Italy. Building SMEs resilience in Asia, I think, is a topic of fundamental importance. Both Niloy and Jaime have given very interesting reasonments about why to do that, and the Dr. Nirwan has given also quite an interesting idea of what is the Malaysia situation. I'll give you just a few hints about the Italian case. Italy is a $2 trillion economy, as you know, has an international trade of $1.3 trillion, an export of last year $650 billion. Guess 70% of that has been accomplished by more than 2 million between SMEs. And in SMEs, we have to do also a distinction because we are quite a different size. We consider medium-sized companies those between 50 to 250 million euros revenues per year. So there's quite a difference. And we can talk of a few hundred thousand, while the small enterprises, which go from 5 to 10 to 50 to 20 people, more or less, account for more than 2 million enterprises. Cash flow is the essential part of it. The issue. Last year, we had major flooding in the region of Emilia-Romagna, and this applies so much to what happened in Malaysia 2 years ago, more or less, and in so many countries in Southeast Asia, and not only in Southeast Asia. Devastation, loss of business, liabilities, because you have contracts you have to deliver. Suddenly, you can do nothing. And as Jaime has said, you discover that you don't have an insurance policy. And you say, oh my God. At the end, I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs, some family members too, and we say, if I insure home against any possible liability, if I insure the car, if I insure the passenger and the driver, besides the normal standard insurance I have, am I really taking a wise decision not to try to understand if I can insure my business? Finally, in Italy, it's mandatory, if I'm not wrong, since a few months only, it's mandatory to insure your business against natural disasters. We're a country which is subject to floods, earthquakes, etc. Without mentioning the issues which you have overall because of the climate change. But consider what's happening now in the Red Sea, the supply chain. Medium-sized companies are suffering, big ones too. Small ones, an issue. Cost of supply chain goes higher. Delivery of what you badly need from the supply chain, don't even mention it. It has to go around Africa, which is time, cost, liabilities, because you're unable to produce disaster looms. Quite often, you turn into this category that in Italy we call, and not only in Italy, NPLs, non-performing loans. In Italy, thank God, the NPLs are not paper which has been wrapped by others, but you have a company, you have patents, you have engineers, you have contracts, and so on and so forth. But you don't have access to credit, and you don't know how to deal with the current situation, which is developing, and you are incapable to go ahead. I think this is an amazing initiative. UNDP, we all know UNDP, and Niloy has given just a few hints. You are in 170 countries. You are playing a critical role for sustainable development in very few terms. Generali is the jewel of the crown in Italy, is a truly jewel of the crown of the Italian industry, at the same time a global brand. You are serving almost 70 million customers, 70. I was asking today, Jaime, how the hell can you manage this? 70 million customers, 82,000 people working for your organization. It's impressive. Putting together two great organizations, completely different, but at the same time, UNDP have your insurance policy. And they are among the biggest in the world, the third largest in Europe, a true global brand. It's something that is badly needed. And I'm looking at the data that Dr. Nirwan has given. This is a country which has a tremendous potential, is a manufacturing country. We are a manufacturing country. Italy is the second largest manufacturing industry of Europe after Germany. Very few people are aware of that. We live out of manufacturing. We have very little energy. We have no natural resources. Still, we are a G7 country because of the size of the economy. But we badly need the capability of the companies to be able to not only survive, you have to develop in a sustainable way, because now you have climate change. This is a big challenge. Imagine if it is a big challenge for the greater corporations. I've seen that a giant like Eni Group, the Italian oil and gas, or Petronas have a green policy agenda. You have to have a green policy agenda, even if you are a small company. At least a big part of them. This has cost. These have risks. That's why I think that UNDP and Generali, and I'll cut short, UNDP and Generali are putting together a formidable punch in order to reduce the risk, and at the same time, also to give to those who are dealing with you, especially if you're a small company, the confidence, the trust that you are more reliable, probably, because you have a net of security that otherwise, for me, who might need your products, sometimes I may say, will they be able to deliver at the price within the budget and within the time frame? So I think This is a tremendous added value. And if this works in Italy, this works to Malaysia, this works to other Asian countries as well. And without wanting to get myself into anything which is going to be the main topics of the Malaysian presidency of ASEAN, which is starting, as you know, from November, I'm sure that being this a very critical part for all the ASEAN countries' economies, and when we say economies, we talk of the social fabric of our countries and your countries, I'm pretty sure that Malaysia will look at this topic as something which can become a benchmark in the vision of the presidency that shortly you Malaysians are going to start, and I'm sure that Dr. Nirwan, with the support of Bank Negara, there's going to be a lot of brainstorming about what today we are seeing is starting as a starting point. So I really wish you a great success. I'm very thankful to be here. Needless to say that being the Italian ambassador, of course, having my company, Generali, which is in reality a global company, here at the center stage, I'm very proud. So thank you very much, Jaime, and thank you very much, Niloy and Dr. Nirwan, and to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Grazie, Your Excellency. Survive and develop in a sustainable manner. We're now going to be watching this video from Lucia Silva, who is Generali Group Chief Sustainability Officer.
Dear guests, it is a pleasure for me to speak at the Generali UNDP event dedicated to building SME resilience in Asia. On behalf of Generali Group, I would like to express our company's pride in the ongoing collaboration with UNDP and to warmly welcome this initiative in Malaysia. Let me start by providing a couple of figures that show how important these topics are. As highlighted in the report we are presenting today, SMEs are the bedrock of the economy, accounting for 97% of all businesses in the Asian region. This means they are not just part of the economy, they are the economy. But they are also threatened by risk, such as climate change, business interruptions, and limited risk management solutions. So they need to be protected. Just consider that less than 5% of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the Asian region have insurance coverage of any form. That's why promoting a culture of sustainability among SMEs and ensuring their financial resilience means supporting the sustainable development of the whole region and reducing the protection gap for vulnerable communities. This initiative is part of our group strategy, where sustainability is at the core, driving every decision we make as a responsible insurer, investor, employer, and corporate citizen. Supporting the sustainable transition of SMEs is a crucial part of this commitment. This is why we have developed SME Enterprise, our flagship initiative, which supports SMEs in the transition to socially and environmentally sustainable business models. This project has been developed in 10 countries across Europe, including Italy, France, Germany, Spain, and many others. And today, it is with great pride that we see this project growing also in Asia, building on the engagement carried out with thousands of SMEs from across Europe over the past 3 years. We firmly believe public-private partnerships and the direct involvement of SMEs themselves will be critical to achieve the goals that we share with UNDP. That is how we will remain on the right track to build a more inclusive and greener future for people and the planet. Thank you all for being part of this journey to build financial resilience and boost the culture of sustainability for SMEs, to truly transform not only businesses but also communities across Asia and beyond.
Thank you to Lucia. Let's now enter the heart of the event. As mentioned, Generali and UNDP have been working on research on micro, small, and medium enterprises in Southeast Asia and their resilience towards taking risks. I'm very interested to find out the findings, the key findings of this research. And with that, I'd like to welcome Lauren Carter, Head of External Engagement for Insurance and Risk Finance Facility, UNDP. Please help me welcome Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Carter with UNDP's Insurance and Risk Finance Facility, and we're very pleased to present to you some of the key findings of the report that we did together with Generali on building MSME resilience in Southeast Asia with a focus on Malaysia and Thailand. I'll echo some statistics that you've already heard, but they're important. Micro, small, and medium enterprises are the backbone of many economies in Southeast Asia. They account for 97% of firms in the region, 85% of the labor force, 45% of regional GDP, and 10 to 30% of total exports. However, despite their contribution to socioeconomic growth and development in the region, they remain highly vulnerable to growing and interconnected risks. Some of these risks include the lingering impacts of COVID-19, which suspended operations in Thailand and Malaysia for many businesses, as well as lack of access to international markets, a limited access of finance, natural hazards, including drought, flooding, and cyclones, all of which are being exacerbated by climate change, health, which is a particular risk for all of the micro enterprises, especially all of those, as Niloy mentioned, which are the backbone of the economies in Malaysia, fire, which is a critical risk for companies in Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines, and business interruption. Many MSMEs operate in a rural environment, which means that they have limited access to basic infrastructure such as electricity and internet. However, this MSME vulnerability not only represents a development challenge, but it's also a commercial market opportunity. Fewer than 5% of MSMEs currently have any form of insurance. But insurers are challenged in accessing and servicing those MSMEs for a variety of different reasons. This includes a lack of value proposition for MSMEs. MSMEs are difficult to reach. Many of them are unbanked and inaccessible. There's a lack of data on MSMEs to help understand their unique risks and needs. And there's a lack of a homogeneous risk pool. MSMEs are not the same. They vary greatly based on their size, age, and sector, which means that a one-size-fits-all solution for MSMEs is not realistic. In our report, we explore an alternative approach for how insurance can help build MSME resilience in Southeast Asia. We do this through a three-step solution. The first is to segment MSMEs by their value chains and identify the key aggregators that are working with those MSMEs as a way of reaching them. The second is to identify the key risks and needs of MSMEs in those value chains. And the third is to bring it all together and come up with holistic resilience solutions that leverage both insurance and other products and services that are needed by MSMEs. In the first step, segmenting MSMEs using a value chain approach helps understand their unique risk profile based on the economic sector that they operate in. For the report, we prioritize 3 value chains per country. In Malaysia, we focus on the wholesale and retail value chain, the food and beverage value chain, and the electrical and electronics value chain. Then for aggregators, we looked at the people who are already working with and reaching MSMEs. This includes lenders, digital platforms and apps, payment service providers, and trade associations. For example, in Thailand, the Thai Rubber and Latex Group works with 10,000 MSMEs in that value chain. This puts them in a unique and powerful position to help the MSMEs in that value chain better understand their risks, build their financial literacy, as well as understand both risk mitigation and risk transfer solutions, such as insurance, that can help them manage those risks. They can also leverage their collective bargaining power to work with insurers to design effective policies that meet the needs of those MSMEs at affordable prices. They can also identify the key risks and needs in MSMEs as part of step 2. Once we understand the value chain that we're trying to operate in, we can understand the specific and unique risks and needs of the operators in that value chain. Each value chain that we examined has their own risk profile. However, several risks were common across all of the value chains. This includes climate change, cash flow management, and product and property damage. Insurance is not seen as a prominent tool, however, for managing these risks. Most MSMEs tend to rely on things like digital platforms, which might offer things like short-term access to financing, but are not holistic solutions to help them manage all of the different risks that they face. This creates an opportunity for insurance to bundle solutions with those platforms to deliver more holistic and integrated solutions. So bringing it all together, what are holistic resilience solutions? Well, once we understand the value chain and the characteristics of that value chain, the aggregators working in that value chain, and the types of risks faced by operators in that value chain, we can bring that together to offer holistic solutions that support MSMEs. This includes things like helping them manage their flood risk by combining weather forecast systems and flood sensors with crop loss insurance. For health and injury-related risk, insurers can merge health insurance along with personal protective equipment and training on international standards and best practices for a safe working environment. For theft, we can merge anti-theft technology along with retail insurance. And for missing, lost, or damaged goods in transit, we can mix sensor-based tracking devices in the cargo with goods in transit insurance. One thing that is key across all of these solutions is that digital platforms are key for both effectively reaching and servicing MSMEs. And finally, there's a role for all of us to play in supporting this trajectory for MSMEs resilience. For the public sector, it's critical to create an enabling environment by adopting a bespoke approach and promoting responsible innovation. For policymakers, providing regulators with a clear mandate and support ecosystem development. For regulators, signaling opportunities for market innovation such as regulatory sandboxes and clear pricing on policies is critical. For the private sector, it's important to provide appropriate, affordable, and accessible risk solutions for MSMEs. For insurers, understanding and segmenting SMEs according to their value chains, partnering with key players such as aggregators, developing new targeted and bespoke solutions, and leveraging alternative distribution channels also are critical ways of meeting the needs of this market. For aggregators, associations, lenders, payment platforms, helping reach MSMEs by providing them with effective risk solutions, by partnering with insurers and developing and launching products together. And for the development sector, it's important that we showcase the value of supporting MSME resilience while enabling coordination and collaboration amongst the key stakeholders. It's also important to provide a solid evidence base, such as that featured in the report, and convening key actors and promoting trends and approaches to enhance MSME resilience. I invite all of you to download the report, which is live now on the link. You can access it on the QR code above. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. I'd like you to remain on stage. All right, not just yet. We're going to be taking a short 15-minute break, but we'll also be taking some photos, and Lauren, you'll be in the photos with all our speakers. So it's a break right now. Do come back in about 15 minutes. I'd like to invite the media as well up close if you would like to take a photos. First, with all the speakers, I'd like to invite Jaime, Niloy, Dr. Nirwan, His Excellency Massimo, Lauren back on stage, Mirko, Datuk Grace, and Nurul Izzah Idris. Welcome back, everyone. Please be seated. We're going to start on the second pillar of this event. So if I can just get your cooperation to please be seated. And we'll be talking about the SME Loss Prevention Framework, which is an innovative digital tool helping SMEs understand their risk profiles based on activities and locations. And this is a great follow-up earlier on from Lauren's presentation. So if I have your attention to have everybody please be seated, I'd now like to welcome up on stage to unveil the SME Loss Prevention Framework, Mirko Satori, Generali International Chief Insurance Officer. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frida, and welcome back, everyone. My name is Mirko Sartori. I am the Chief Insurance Officer at International in Generali. My area of responsibility goes from product pricing, underwriting, reinsurance, and claims management. So I'm really honored to be here representing Generali in this big and important event, and represented especially all of my colleagues who have been working a lot on this initiative and this achievement from my team and also from Generali Malaysia. And to be honest, it's also a bit emotional because I was told actually by Fabrice this morning that this is actually the stage where Generali Malaysia was launched officially. So I'm a bit also emotional for that reason, so thanks, Fabrice. I think you know, in partnership with the UNDP, we've been doing quite a long journey together, and it's really a great pleasure to be here to jointly launch the SME Loss Prevention Framework. I can talk about it, I mean, for hours if you like, but we thought that it was, you know, the best way to present this and to show you was actually to project a video. So I'm sure you will be grabbing, I mean, the essence of it, and then we will talk about it a bit later on. So please.
Small and medium-sized enterprises account for nearly 50% of total employment and 97% of all businesses in Malaysia. They're a pillar and a driver of socio-economic development, yet many remain vulnerable to growing climate risks, especially floods. Being aware of these risks is the first step to taking action. That is why Generali and the Insurance and Risk Finance Facility Initiative, led by UNDP, have created the SME Loss Prevention Framework, a digital tool to assess the readiness and awareness of SMEs to flood risk, to offer prevention and protection advice and increase their resilience. A multi-language platform currently available in English, Bahasa Malaysia and Chinese, the SME Loss Prevention Framework leverages the power of data, awareness and understanding of potential risk areas for businesses to define their exposure profile and develop specific action plans. Getting advice is simple. Select your industry and geographic location. Discover your risk profile, low, medium or high, and learn how to protect your business with better risk management. The SME Loss Prevention Framework is an evolving tool. It will expand to include more geographies and types of risk, also through a dedicated mobile app, to protect more and more SMEs from across the region and the world against the hazards that might arise. SME Loss Prevention Framework. Greater awareness, greater resilience.
I think just a couple of numbers. I hope you appreciate this. We've been talking about the relevance of the SME sector, including the micro segment in Malaysia. Just a couple of additional numbers about it. we are talking about more than 1,100,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises that may be able or will be invited to use this tool online. So massive number of entrepreneurs that will be using that. Again, it's a significant portion of the GDP. It's a very significant portion of the occupation that Malaysia is giving. So almost 50% of workers are occupied in this sector. And if we go back to 2021, December, between December 21 and January 22, there was a significant flood event here. And you know, they've been suffering significant losses. We are talking about more than 2.2 billion ringgit insurance losses. But in terms of economic losses, we are round about more than 6 billion ringgit. At the end, it was a very big event. Climate change now is not going to, ease this situation. It's going to get, you know, even more complex going forward. The frequency of this kind of events is increasing, and we must be ready about it. When we launched this partnership with UNDP in the past, I remember talking several times with Jan Kellett here from UNDP, and we didn't really wanted to launch a long project with never-ending timeline and so on. We just wanted to be sure that we were about to deliver something in the short term, pragmatic, very impactful, user-friendly, for contributing, to our to the SME sector in Malaysia. And I think we got there. At the end, what we feel is that we really need to be sure we are going to deliver something again pragmatic and useful for the SME sector, because we really feel accountable, right, to sort of share our technical expertise and our underwriting capabilities we have been developing internationally. And we really want to cascade the expertise and adapt it to the local market and local market specificities in order really to increase the awareness that, yes, mitigation is important. As insurance industry and as responsible insurer, we are there to pay claims when the event occurs, and we are close to our clients when the event occurs, especially during painful situations for them in order to recover quickly. But it is even more important, we think, to sort of develop awareness that prevention is even more relevant. Preventing this and be ready to these kind of events can minimize the risks and the losses that potentially, this SME sector will suffer. The function, the objective of that is really to prepare for the transition, this important sector for Malaysia, and be ready to develop further this tool overall also for other regions and other countries in Asia, and be prepared, to work with them, alongside them, to prepare for a transition to a greener economy, to a more sustainable world. It is about our children. It is about our, future, about the future of our community. So I'm a strong believer that actually prevention can really be relevant, and the insurance industry can play a big role, a relevant role globally, because prevention can be the basement for the resilience of the SME sector in Malaysia, but also elsewhere in Asia. So thanks a lot, everyone, to be here with us for this launch of this great achievement together with UNDP.
Thank you, Mirko. what they always say, right? Prevention is better than cure. And our next discussion, what are the pathways to enhance the resilience of small and medium enterprises in Asia? So we're going to hear the point of view of the National SME Association and the Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara. I'd like to invite up on stage Dr. Grace Chia Hui Yen, National Vice President, SME Association Malaysia, and Ms. Nurul Izzah Idris, Director of Islamic Finance Department, Bank Negara Malaysia, up on stage. Please help me welcome the ladies. Thank you very much, ladies. And of course, I probably want to hear from you first, Dr. Grace, talk about the SME Association Malaysia. The challenges and risks faced by SMEs were briefly described by the speakers during the event. And of course, you have your own personal stories as well, right? And whether you agree with their observation, and if you want to highlight any specific risk critical for SME survival, do share your thoughts around this.
Right. First of all, I'm very happy with the research reports. Basically, MSME is the backbone of the economy, especially in Malaysia. I think Niroy has actually mentioned that 78% is actually micro. Again, MSME, especially micro and small companies, they are very unique in their way. So every companies, when we look at the differences, then they have the unique personalities, which the risk will also be very different. Yeah. So I see the steps of the reports, the research reports. It actually mentions that they use a value change methodologies. From the methodologies, they identify the risks as well as the needs. So to me, this methodology is very need-based rather than product push. One of the reasons why I think what we call general insurance in Malaysia, especially towards MSME, are very, is still can consider very raw. Less than 5% actually aware about this. It's very much because of, I think, the product is very product-centric rather than need-based. First. Second thing is the price of the general insurance, if you buy one product, it's become very expensive. So this is the something that the micro, the small SMEs may not be able to afford. And the most important thing is many of the agencies or brokers, they may not pay full attention on this because they are small, they may not be fully incentivize them. And also, not many of them fully understand the SME business, the uniqueness, and hence the products proposed to them may not be relevant. And I think the report also mentioned that not easy to find MSME, because they are small. So the risk that I see what we call the climate change. The risk of climate change, to me, is a true risk. Because the climate change has actually resulted natural disasters or any events that become very difficult to predict. When the event very difficult to predict, the more the SME or the MSME will need more protections. I give you one particular example. Because I see the report mentioned about floods. But the impact of the floods is, do you see that the machine was spoiled? The chiller and the freezer not able to function, especially if, let's say, we want to look at the F&B industries or even the retail industry, how many stock you need to throw away? And likewise, the product become not able to use, they will need to throw away. So all these are the loss where, if let's say MSME is fully aware about the insurance, is able to mitigate the rest. So then hence they will not have a cash flow issue. Why so many SME not able to recover after the natural disaster and so forth? It could be because of that as well. And lastly, in Malaysia especially, I see that many of the MSME, they already reach generations to transfer the business to the next generation. So, but yet you will still see that they will actually save the cost of fixed costs. The moment they save the fixed costs, they may pay more attention. I mean, whatever money that they have, they will actually use to run the business, to generate revenue, rather than actually hire staff or spend on whatever fixed costs. So hence, you will see that the health of the key man, the health of the very minimal staff become very, very important. That's how I see it.
Thank you, Dr. Grace, for sharing that very granular and very on-the-ground challenges that we don't see, right, the SMEs go through. Cik Nurul, Bank Negara has deployed multiple initiatives to protect SMEs from various risks, especially the disaster relief facility introduced after the flood which hit Malaysia in 2021. Can you share some of BNM's efforts in building the resilience of SMEs?
Thanks, Freda. So when we look at helping SMEs to build better resilience, we often approach this in two pathways. The first pathway is more crisis or disaster relief pathway. And that's immediate, that's short-term, that's often require a lot more government intervention or concessional capital to actually be allocated to help SMEs build back from a particular disaster or a crisis event. So the disaster relief facility was one of that example, but the industry had come together during the 2021 flood event to come up with flood CSR funds, for instance, to help provide temporary relief to their customers in the event of such incident occurring. But what is also important in our view is to look at the long-term solution that is needed to help SMEs build back better. One of this is to actually look at deploying approaches such as blended finance. In credit, we already see pilot programs being introduced. One of the examples that Dr. Niran gave was IT Card, which is meant to help micro SMEs to expand their business in a more sustainable manner. But often in insurance, the solutions given are temporary and short-term, and that might not necessarily be exactly what the SMEs need. They actually need the continuity of the protection over the period of 12 months to ensure that they can withstand longer-term shocks. They can also withstand unanticipated shocks. So we would like to actually collaborate a lot more with players and ecosystem providers out there to see how blended insurance can actually be innovated and can be introduced in the market in a more sustainable manner. The second is actually through programs such as greening the value chain. So this is one of the programs that Bank Negara had piloted at the peak of COVID, with principal suppliers actually helping the group of SMEs that are supplying to a particular value chain ensure that they can green their operations. So it's not just about access to credit, it's also access to tools, access to diagnostic capability. It's also access to the network of ecosystem providers that can help them expand their business. But often insurance is seen as a sequential solution. It's not part of that value chain protection at the first instance. So this is the situation where we're at right now, and we're hoping to be able to see more players participating in protecting the value chain. So I would like to commend the approach taken by Generali and UNDP in looking at value chain to this solution.
Right, and it's basically about business sustainability, the sustainability of the business to continue, right? So Dr. Grace, you heard from Cik Nurul, there are many available support and solutions provided by the government and private sectors. So insurance was emphasized as an effective instrument against risk as well. Do you think SMEs are benefiting from them adequately? And if there is any, could you identify the gap or gaps?
So in my observations, my personal opinion, I think the government can actually play more roles by mitigating the risk. Because I still see that insurance is supposed to be preventive rather than reactive. So like now we already know what are the potential risks. So we can actually guide the MSME presently you will see that not only MSME, I think many of us, including some of the stakeholders, they may not understand the importance of insurance. So I think a lot of people, they may, in their mind, insurance is life insurance. In fact, general insurance is very important. And when we talk about general insurance, people will talk about all risks. They've forgotten about the insurance, especially the general insurance is inclusive of the operation risk, the burglary, the fidelity, and so forth. All these are very important insurance that we can actually nurture the MSME. I believe that MSME need more helps in terms of knowledge on how to prevent. Because I believe that before, you see, I will see that a lot of supports are very much towards credits, giving them capital, MSME on capitals to run the business. But I believe that besides giving them the capitals, we should also guide them to mitigate risk and how to transfer the risk. Because if we don't transfer the risk, we don't mitigate the risk, we don't transfer the risk, the loan also very expensive. So because my personal experience, I was working in financial industry, both financial industry and insurance industry. And presently, I'm also running my own business. It could be because of my own personal experience, so I know how to actually buy insurance to mitigate the risk and transfer the risk, and hence you become very easy to get loan. So I think this part, the stakeholders actually play more into it. Yeah.
So beyond credit to mitigate the risk, right? Cik Nurul, compared to banking, insurance, and takaful industry in Malaysia, is slow in its growth, right? Especially when it comes to non-life general insurance. So what's B&M's view on this, and could you share B&M's plan to promote industries development to provide better protection to SMEs against rising risks?
Sure. We see the general insurance industry as part of the ecosystem. So all elements and components of the ecosystem needs to be able to intersect for solutions to actually be meaningful to consumers. I would say there are three areas in which the general insurance can definitely step forward. One is in relation to financial education. The Financial Education Network plays an active role in educating stakeholders about the importance of financial solutions, not just credit, but also risk mitigation and risk management tools. There's a lot of room and space for the general insurance industry to be more active in the Financial Education Network. The second area is in terms of putting out innovative financial solutions that are not just products on shelf, cut to be cheaper, to be more affordable for SMEs. But these are products that is customer-centered, thinking about the exact needs of the SMEs and actually developing bespoke solutions to be able to ensure that they address their most important need, rather than just packaging existing products and pushing it to the consumers to be able to buy. Platforms such as the Joint Climate Change Committee, which has an SME-focused working group, is an excellent platform for players such as Generali and others in the room to participate in order to see how more products can actually be put out. The third area is really looking at how ecosystem can actually build better capability and technical feasibility to be able to actually produce solutions that can solve the problem. So under the JC3 as well, there is also a data working group, because data is often the one that is critically missing in providing solutions or designing solutions that are really targeted to certain segments. So through the data working group, we're hoping to be able to enable the industry to have more access to data that is needed to be able to actually customize solutions that are most important to this particular target segment. So we hope that by taking an ecosystem approach in dealing with the resilience need of the businesses, then we can then shift their financial decisions beyond just demanding for capital and credit, but actually mitigating the risk that they're most exposed to.
Thank you so much, ladies, for your sharing. I'm sure we've got more. If we had more time, we'd love to have more questions. But thank you once again, Dr. Grace and Cik Nurul. A round of applause for the ladies. I'd like to invite you back to your seats. Before we move on to the next part of the event, I'm going to talk a little bit more as they clear the desk. The stage. Is now time to discover some of the ideas submitted to the Insurance Innovation Challenge Fund. For those of you who don't know about this, I'll tell you a little bit about the fund. The Challenge Fund is powered by Generali and UNDP, and it seeks to for innovative insurance solutions to boost the resilience of SMEs in Malaysia. The award includes technical and financial support of up to $40,000 per winner, and the winners will be announced later in the year. But today, we'll have an opportunity to hear from some of the most valuable candidates who will shortly describe their ideas. They're all given 2 minutes to pitch. You'll also have a chance to vote on which idea you think would be the most impactful on SMEs in Malaysia. So do listen up. I believe they're going to put up the code as well. And also, if you don't see the code on the screen, it's actually on the back of your tag. But we'll get to the voting a little later, right? So I'm going to invite them up to share a little bit about their idea. I'd like to invite firstly, old friend Deep from Agilux to round of applause. All eyes and ears on you, Deep.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. Thank you. So shall I start?
The time starts now.
Good morning, guys. I'm Deep from Agilix. We've been offering IT solutions to SMEs since last 14 years across the Asia Pacific. Of course, we started from Malaysia. We have seen a lot of ups and downs in SMEs. Not sure how many of you know, during COVID, more than 37,000 SMEs were shut down. Just imagine the impact on their families, their staff. It's tremendous, painful. Those can be protected, right, with the insurance. But the problem is not that there is no insurance available. Problem is these guys don't have much awareness. Problem is not the insurance, actually. Problem is that I don't know what to buy, how much to buy, from where to buy. The problem is the trust. I always think what I'm buying, is it enough? Or is it what I really need? Lots of issues are there with the insurance. They have money, they can pay if they know, what really they need. So what we are trying to do with this SPG community app is to build a free app for SMEs where they get awareness. They get free consultancy. They get a lot of those things which will tell them what is important, what is not important. Then buying is easier. So what we are building this platform is on 3 pillars. The first pillar is setup, SPG, setup, protection, and growth. Setup means run your business, getting the advice from the consultants free of cost. Second is protect. Protect your business, of course, the insurance will come into that picture. And the third one is grow. We'll be offering free software to these guys like CRM, HR, accounting kind of software so that they can do things better. So idea is, we are not trying to create another platform. Hey, buy insurance digitally, it's very easy to do. Nobody will go and buy. Idea is, once they understand what they need, actually, it's just will happen on its own. So really thankful for Generali and UNDP for this opportunity. And I would like to invite other SME associations, SME Bank, SME Corp, all to join this initiative to help us in promoting this app. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deep. In exactly 2 minutes. Thank you, Deep. Next, we have up on stage Shadana Sekaran from InsureQ. Please help me welcome Shadana. Are you ready?
Good afternoon, everyone. Purchasing an insurance policy in Malaysia, especially for SMEs, can be a tedious process. We would always want to get the best solution that we have. But the problem is that, how do we get that best solution? We would usually compare. And when you are going to compare, you would compare it with 5 different insurers, meaning you would have to speak to 5 different agents or go into 5 different platforms. And when you go into each platform, you would have to key in your details every time when you go in. It's the same when you speak to the insurance agents as well. In InsureQ, we have created this aggregation engine where you can come in and key in your details. Upon keying in your details, our aggregation engine would actually display the quotations, and you can even filter the results based on the pricing, benefits, customer rating to make it a bit more interesting, and of course, alphabetical order. And after it is being displayed, you can in fact select the product based on your needs, and you can purchase the policy. Upon purchasing the policy, the e-policy is emailed to you almost instantaneously. In InsureQ, we want to make sure that the process of acquiring an insurance policy is seamless and simplified. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In less than 2 minutes, next I'd like to invite Sabrina Chong from Policy Street to share their solution.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sabrina from Policy Street. We are a Khazanah-backed insurtech company focusing on insurance solutions for businesses and consumers. So our proposal to boost SME resilience is actually to start a bank assurance partnership with digital banks. So it's often known that insurance is sold but not bought, right? And nowadays, with SME insurance, it's very comprehensive, which makes the price very expensive for many SMEs. So in this case, many SMEs are not able to really afford it, or perhaps they don't know what they don't know. They have limited financial literacy. So what we propose, which is a three-pronged approach. Number one is to actually partner up with digital banks to embed insurance solutions in company loans, so business loans, and company credit cards. So next is actually to empower the SMEs to select and deselect and customize the sort of insurance solutions that work best for them and arrive at a premium that fits their budget and needs. And last, actually to create a financial literacy platform to educate them on how to be more financially resilient. At the same time, redirect them to the insurance solutions that we provided that we mentioned earlier. Being a full-stack insurtech company, we are able to enable customization options that are previously not available in Malaysia. And we are not just embedding, but we're going the extra mile to provide the customization option. With this, we hope that we can boost SME resilience, not only in Malaysia, but in Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Up next, we have Dr. Javan Lim from VKA Wealth Planners. Please help me welcome Dr. Javan.
Very good morning, everyone. My name is Javan, founder and group managing director of VKA Wealth Planners, a financial planning firm licensed by Securities Commission and approved by Bank of Malaysia with more than 300 financial advisors nationwide. Introduce to you EGCover.my. It's a newly launched insurance application. Our aim is very simple, to make insurance managing easy, stress-free for everyone, especially for businesses. There are many businesses in Malaysia to find hard to offer employee benefit. It's because often insurers require at least 10 employees to start. And this leaves no option for small businesses, especially micro-entrepreneurs. Resulted, they have to pay higher premium for individual application. To deal with complex conditions such as uninsurable for some employees due to health condition, employee turnover, paperwork. Today, with EGCover.my app, even the smallest business in Malaysia can offer great employee benefit just like any big corporation. There are 5 unique features of our app. Number 1, you need minimum only 3 employees to onboard, and we offer guaranteed acceptance to all. Number 2, the system will auto-generate multiple quotations to ease your comparison and decision making. Number 3, seamless insurance management experience from application, updating employee detail, or even claim monitoring. Number 4, the app auto-include the HR tool that allow business owner to ease their administrative tasks like leave management or allowance claim for the employee. Number 5, because we are a financial planning firm, we offer expert-guided solution. The user can easily reach out to an advisor nearer to them in any part of Malaysia. The app is now available at the App Store. Welcome to download, to visit our website for more information. We are very proud we can offer the solution to close the gap and enable all businesses in Malaysia to offer great employee benefit. Thank you,
Dato'. Last but not least, Eddie Wong from Visual Life to share his idea.
Hello, good afternoon.
My name is Eddie Wong. I'm a co-founder, CEO of Visure.life, a fintech company specializing in insurance technology and digital insurance marketplace. I don't have to emphasize about the problem statement because the report from Generali at UNDP is so glaring enough, right? But I would like to pick on the point from my fellow Datuk Javan there. The problem here is the product market fit. For micro SMEs with less than 10 employees, they can't buy. That's too expensive for them, right? So our proposition is very simple, is to come up with a fully stackable, flexible, digital commercial micro protections for the micro SMEs. We start with first emphasizing on the protection for the employees. We want to introduce the employee lifestyle protections, right? Where we will bundle in the health tech solution with ability for telehealth consultation. For employees, they don't have to go to a clinic, right? They can actually, through their telehealth, they can call upon the telehealth diagnostic and delivery of medicine to their doorstep. Second part is about building resilience for the micro SMEs in terms of the risk that they're facing. We call it EBIS cover, right? And where we would design comprehensive commercial risk cover for those businesses. And the third part is about cybersecurity, because most of the micro SMEs through the last 2 years pandemic, they have ventured into e-commerce trade, and they're very, very exposed to cyber risk. So how do we design a cyber risk program for them, right? So, but last but not least, to top it off, because our program is a Sharia program that is aligned with the Sharia concept of tabaru, there will be a give back option, right? So at the end of the financial year, if after minusing the claims and all this, we will give it back to the micro SMEs, and the micro SMEs can actually choose to give it to other micro SMEs, or they can use it for the next discount. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you, everyone. I know it's not easy to do this. Now, we want to hear your opinion, right, on which solution do you think would have the most positive impact on SMEs in Malaysia. And this is by no means going to decide whether they're going to be the winners or not, but we just want to hear your opinion. There is the Slido. We'll give you about 30 seconds to see which idea was most popular among the audience today. Have you cast your vote? You go to slido.com, 2794267. It's on the back of your tag as well, if you need the code. Are we ready to share the results? And great job for everyone who presented. Okay. So, top two ideas, Visure and Ajalak, so a round of applause. Okay. You're still edging, but well done again. Thank you very much. I hope you found that invigorating. And as we come to the end of today's session, let me welcome on stage for his remarks the country head of Generali Malaysia, Fabrice Benal. Please help me welcome Fabrice.
Selamat datang, everyone. I'm very emotional because I launched Generali Malaysia on this stage. Very emotional. 11 months later, we are organizing such event. I'm very proud for Generali Malaysia to host this event. I'm very proud for Malaysia. I don't know if you guys have realized, but we have top management of Generali, representative from the regulator, the ambassadors, a lot of partners, all my board members, and all the CEO of Asia, because what we are doing here, we pilot it in Malaysia, we pilot it with Thailand, but the idea is really to show that we can give to the community. We believe in the SME model, in the micro SME. We believe also in the business potential, of course, because we are an insurance company, and we want to give back. So what we have heard today is very important. A lot of concepts were given. Of course, we know that we need to be on this market. Of course, we know that we need to play our role as a giant private insurer in Malaysia, and we want to do it. We want to further extend in Asia. We also know that sometimes, it has been said several times, our products are difficult to be understood for the common of the people. We know that we need to improve. We know that we need to face calamities, events, and this is something on which we really want to invest our time, and we will do it, and we will pilot it first in Malaysia with the help of everyone. One important item that was highlighted by a lot of the speakers is that I cannot do it alone. I mean, as Generali Malaysia, I cannot do it alone. So I need the feedback of partners that are on the ground like UNDP. And this is fantastic because we are a global company. You are global also. You give us this feedback because you have the foot on the ground. But I also need the feedback and the support of the public organization, of the government. We are happy to have a two-way dialogue and two-way exchange in order to make that successful. But we need this collaboration, otherwise it will never work. The ambassador highlighted the success of the framework in Italy, for example. It usually starts with, unfortunately, a disastrous event, a flood, an earthquake, and it usually ends up with a system that, because of the collaboration between public and private, has to work. So, you can count on me, you can count on Generali to really work on serving better the SMEs, to make the business model work, to support from a sustainable way what we have to do in Malaysia, but also in Asia. And of course, my team is here, my team is available to make all that happen. I thank again everyone that came to this event. I thank our partners. Thank you for the SMEs that came here to show us their capabilities. This is great. This is what we need to improve as an industry. And again, you can count on me and my team and the support of Generali to make that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabrice. And to conclude now from UNDP, let me invite to the stage Jean Kellett, head of the UNDP's Insurance and Risk Finance Facility. Please help me welcome Jan.
Thank you. I have to wait for the music to stop. Thank you, Freda. I have the inevitable task of I'm not sure I'm wrapping things up, but I just wanted to share a few reflections. I think I have 5 points, colleagues, friends, excellencies, that I'd like to talk through. The first one is easy. I just want to mirror what Fraji says at the end there and say thank you to you all for being here. Thank you to Generali. Thank you to the government representatives here. Thank you to our colleagues in UNDP Malaysia for putting on such a great event. Thank you to you, Frida, as well, for moderating so excellently. It has been a pleasure, and actually I've learned a lot. So that's my first point. I think secondly, this has been a little bit of a journey between Generali and UNDP. So I just want to say, for example, to my friend Fabio Marchetti, the group head of international affairs, when we first met, I think 2.5 years ago, we were wondering how could we bring these, if you like, heavyweights from the insurance industry and the development sector together. We weren't entirely sure what direction we would follow. But I'm really happy that we settled on something which is so critical, which is in the world of small business, where both institutions, if you like, together with governments in this region, can really build the financial resilience, not just of industry, small business, but of the communities on which those depend. So that's my second point. There has been a journey and it's a successful one. Thirdly, again, as Fabrice said, this is a partnership, you know, I can see such great potential here in Malaysia and through the region. So in UNDP, for example, we are not an insurer, so we can't hold that risk. So if we're wanting to build the financial resilience of SMEs, we have to work with insurers, whether it's national insurers or regional insurers of the world of the corporate insurance. You know, we have to work with companies like Generali and indeed some of the national insurers that we saw today. But we also need government. The government who dictates policy and regulation and supervises the sector and can drive so much innovation as well. So it is definitely a partnership. My third point really is just a reflection on what I heard, if you like, substantively. And these are not about insurance itself, in a sense, not about financial protection, but about what financial protection represents, which for us is really key in UNDP. It is not always about the actual financial protection of an asset, of agriculture, of a firm, or so on. It's about what it represents to those companies and to those communities. So, for example, as said, I think the ambassador so eloquently said, it is part of the social fabric. SMEs are part of the social fabric. We need to protect them because they are so key to all aspects of our life and living. Secondly, by stripping away uncertainty, stripping away risk, we can incentivize innovation, incentivize entrepreneurship within SMEs, which they are so critical at. They are absolutely the way in which we innovate around the world. And then thirdly, as I think was mentioned by some of our government representatives, they can also act as great tools for driving financial inclusion, which in some parts of the world is very weak, I think particularly in the smaller businesses, for example, in Malaysia and around the region. And then as a final point, maybe just to focus our attention on what is perhaps the critical thing, looking at the region, that critical figure, only 5% of small and medium business are protected in the ASEAN region, which is a very, very low figure in the world of rising risks. So yes, there is great opportunity for us to work together as partners, but there is really great need. So I'm hoping that we can, if you like, utilize today's event as a springboard to work together and to do much more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan, for... Thank you, Jan, for encapsulating today's event very succinctly. And speaking of springboard, there is an SME masterclass that Generali and UNDP are having tomorrow as a deep dive session of the SME loss prevention framework. We've got that happening tomorrow. So we kindly ask you to, for the SMEs here today, to register either via email or at the registration desk as you leave. A reminder again to use these hashtags for your social media. If you've captured some photos and videos today, hashtag protect the future, SME enterprise, insurance for SDGs, financial resilience, my UNDP, Generali for sustainability. Take a shot so you won't have to remember too much of this. I'd now like to invite everyone up for a lunch upstairs. And of course, this is a very important word for Malaysians, makan time. So lunch will be served upstairs. So do enjoy your lunch and have a wonderful day ahead. And for those of you who need to get your ticket validated, it's 15 ringgit flat rate, and you can validate this at the reception near the registration counter. So have a wonderful day, and thank you everyone for being here today.